My guys, how y'all doing? I hope you're doing okay. Oh, welcome to the podcast. If you join the podcast, make sure you share the podcast, please. When you are hearing the podcast after we are not live, please make sure to also share the podcast. Let's stay chit chat for a few minutes before we go on the class reload. You know, our regular podcast is mostly on the weekend, but at least we just have to update in the week, at least 30 minutes, 40 minutes before we go on the class reloaded. Okay. So what's been popping up today? Uh Share the podcast, guys, so we can have a beautiful conversation here on the replay. Welcome to the podcast. I see two persons already there. Let me share the podcast. Please start by sharing the podcast also yourself so we can have as much audience because normally in the week when I come on, it's not too long. I just come to update and then we call it a day while we go on the class reloaded. So and not most of the time, then we climax summarize everything in the weekends. Okay. Because we cannot have a really full show in a week. And so we always try our best for every one of us to at least chit chat a little bit in a week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I think starting from you. 9, 10, yeah. Okay, I share into other groups also. So if you count the podcast, please share the podcast. Let's take some music and then we come back and talk a few talking points here. Okay. So share the podcast, guys. Let's have some beautiful conversation here on some of the things that I posted today, especially one of those that have caused a public outburst. People say, "Ah, well, you didn't listen to him well and this and that." But no matter how you flip that statement, I'll do an addendum on that statement that I made today for people to be able to understand what I was talking about. Share the podcast, guys. Holy baby, rescue don't come. Papa Bokai. He came with the plan when the night was long. 6 pillars to make Liberia strong. Agribusiness, make the farm produce. Goods and breeds, the trade move. Rule of law, no more corruption. Education for the next generation. Sanitation, clean water flow. The tourism, let the world know. Arrest again. Please share the podcast. Development from share the podcast. Give us a like, give us a love. Everybody, we say, Liberia, love Liberia, build Liberia together. Here I go, get home to Maryland. See the light, oh, every day 3 kilometers up Euro, connecting my farm to the Lord. The road wide up to Ivory Coast. Oh, I build Liberia, the bush. You are in darkness now, solar they shine. 20 megawatt in Monterrado, clean light divine. 100K homes every year. Austin Solo, you race of being black. I know why you're so stupid. Y'all look like the rats when they put bunny in a trap in a bucket. Okay, where they put super glue. And one rat go in there is sticking out super glue because bunny there. You see all the other rats they jump in there. Just as I'm blocking you're coming there. So you race of being black. So slow down, okay? It's a first track for you. I don't allow stupid people, children, to come on this platform because there are serious people who come here. Guys, keep sharing the podcast, okay? I do endorse stupid people, children. Seriously. Austin, I do endorse stupid people, children. And you're one of those who are come on the platform. Guys, share the podcast. Let's listen to this music and start our show.
Keep promise light, 75% by 2030. Future bright. GDP from 2.1 now going to 5.8. Inflation 10 to 7. Don't be straight. Revenue 695 million, 12% gain. VAT and digital tax stop the leakage and pain. 80 million budget for health and school. Business is investment cool. Build jobs for agriculture, infrastructure, small business, rescue mission working. No more loneliness. Scholarship debt, declare 1 million paid. School kids today, no child afraid. 10,000 new teaching those skills in hand. Youth can get into 35 capital for the land. JFK got the thoracic center, heart surgery home. 16 million left in market. From Monrovia to the counties, the people talking, the music talking. Used to they say the road too long, they say it can be done. But every morning we're waking up, seeing the work go on. Some people criticize, some people complain. But when the changes start showing, they sing a different refrain. The progress coming, get used to it. The development coming, get used to it. The people smiling, get used to it. The barrier moving, get used to it. Take your, get used to it, bills. Take your, get used to it, bills. President Buckeye working every day. Get used to it, that's all we say. Get used to it, bills. Take your, get used to it, bills. When the positive news keep rolling in, get used to it. Let the future begin. The opposition talking loud. Every day another sound. For the people watching closely to see what can be found. When results begin to show and the nation starts to grow, those who doubted yesterday will have no choice but no.
So guys, how you doing? Welcome to the podcast. Okay, so something interesting happened today, and from our end, we recognized the Minister of Gender, Mamie Harris Colley, as the Minister of the Week. Okay, she said something important today because we have to diversify how we think. Where people think that it is only men that have to support the other party. The law is that, and for common sense and love, if the other party is not working, why is it you think that you the woman, okay, you level the man to say, no, sweetie, honey, or sweetie, keep the money, okay? Just do what you can do for the house until I can get on my feet. Let the man say it, okay? Like people like us, men like us will say that, okay? But the gender minister is saying that men who are not working and their spouses are working and they are not getting support like monthly allowance from them. They should go to the Ministry of Justice to help fight that case for them. So I mean, it's a good thing. But the first topic I wanted to touch on here today is my brother Teach Wanake. All right. So I did a post this morning on Teach Wanake. The Fangalo name, he put it there later on. But when I knew him way back in the 90s, he was Tobot Wanake, T Wanake. Okay. So now, there's the thing. He spilled things out last night on the Spoon Radio, on the Spoon Talk. And I felt it necessary. I deemed it necessary to come to respond to what he said. Because he's like a brother to me. You know, when our family ship runs, it runs deep. He knows that we know each other very well from the family level. Okay? So when you come to speak, you have to speak in a way that the English language will be clear, that it won't cause any confusion. So when you come to say that Gregory Cuomo was the youngest in my class in the 9th grade, again, you are talking about authority. But if you had said that he was the youngest in our class in the 9th grade, it means you are talking about your class, you and other students. But when you say he was the youngest in my class in the 9th grade, you are giving authority, you are assuming authority over that class as a teacher. But people say that I didn't get him well, so I should delete the post. No, you flip that interpretation any other way around. I'm not wrong. What people try to imply also is that he was saying that he and Gregory Como were in the same class. Is what the other school of thoughts are saying. Because that statement is not clear. It can be interpreted based upon the individual. So the other school of thoughts, they are saying he meant to say he and Gregory Como were in the same class in the 9th grade, and Gregory Como was the youngest in the class. Even we should go by that other theory, it is still a lie. It is still a lie. Why do I say it is a lie? And I'm not trying to bash the brother. This is like a family to me. There is a family to me. Why do I also say for that other school of thought, it is also a lie? It is because Gregory Como, the police RG, and myself, we were classmates for a very, very long time. Gregory Coleman and I sat in class for years, up to 9th grade, 10th grade. I'm talking about class 95, 96. And he was not in class with us. He was not attending the same school with us. He was attending the PMRC, the Protestant Methodist Resource Center. There is one of my classmates on here on the podcast, Sanke Logan. Sanke Logan, Gregory Coleman, every one of us, we were in class for a very, very long time, up to 10th grade. So if you want to fight your proxy warfare, fight your proxy warfare against Gregory Coleman. Tell the people what is hurting you, but you do not lie to the public. So when I heard the statement, because it came on a block and it did not continue, even the continuance, as I listened to the continuance, that statement is very authoritative. When you say that Gregory Coleman was in my class in the 9th grade and he was the youngest, it is authoritative, like you were the teacher. But if you say Gregory Coleman was in our class, it is well understood. But whenever you flip the side of the coins, he is not right on any side of the coins, because Gregory Coleman and I, if you were to call Gregory Coleman today and ask him, how do you call Abbott? Gregory Coleman never called me Abbott. Gregory Coleman never called me Abbott. Even when I was in Liberia in June, I have gone to the capital. And I was talking with somebody, and Greg had come, I think, from the vice president's office. And some people came from the other side, oh, that is Abbott. I think Greg Hardy. And then when he turned, he saw me, he said, hey, Dad. Is that you call it? He said, Dad. So it's very hard for people for people to call that name. It's only people from way, way back who can call that name. So when I heard a Dick, I turned around and I was also, oh, Greg. And then he did it. I went to him. So that is somebody that I know. I know Teach very well. So all of those who came under that podcast to say, oh, Albert, you misconstrued the man. If I should consider your theory, your other side of the story, he will still be, I don't want to use the word like, that's my brother, because I went strong on him today. The fact of the matter here is that is why you see I keep pushing back on people who are fighting proxy warfare for people. You see, I don't want to involve Patrick into this thing, okay? Patrick Commando, who was suspended or dismissed, he was dismissed by the president from the LDEA, is like a little brother to T. Wanake, to Mr. Fangalo. Okay? For them, they think that Greg should be held responsible, that Greg didn't stand up for him. And so, you institute a proxy warfare against the men. And you expect some of us. 1 minute, guys.
From the villages to the city lights.
I didn't know it was one of my musics because I haven't listened to this one before. So, if you come out to tell the general public, because the despicable way in which you even talk and spoke about the president, you as a young man coming from a decent family background, you come from a decent family background, and you are speaking to somebody who can born you 2 different times, and you want to see yourself as this honest person while you are lying on a public platform. I couldn't sit there and lie to slide. And so we have to talk about it. This country. I am not here to allow somebody's self-aggrandizement allow them to give the opposition rights over the government. No, it's not going to happen. Though he's a family to me, he's like a brother to me. But I just said, after he has spoken about the president in a despicable manner, what was dishonest about what the president said yesterday? The president addressed the nation because the arrest of Joel Howard Taylor got the atmosphere polarized. And so the president, it was prudent enough for the president to be able to address the country, because even the international community is watching the country. The issue about drugs in our country is not something that we can overemphasize. So, even it could be our own brothers. If the person tried to lie, we must talk about it. If anybody say that Albert is lying and think that I'm lying, you come and say, look, Albert, what you saying is not true. Okay? Let's be able to look at our friends, our brothers, our relatives boldly in the face and tell them it is a lie. But I went out all hard on you today because you was not being honest. You want to prove yourself to be an honest person while you was being dishonest on that platform. And so we have to come out all heavily handed to hammer him. Because this drug thing has disturbed our country. Now, there is a guy who is posting his car, he's shipping his car from Korea, South Korea to Liberia. And this guy is saying that, imagine 3 different security agencies in South Korea have to kind of inspect the cargo because they are saying Liberia is on a high line right now, and they do not want anything to leave that country to come to Liberia, because what President Joseph Yuma Boakai have done in the issue of this drugs issue by raising it to the national security level, every country is not afraid, because any container come from a country where cocaine is in, it's going to flag your country. So every country around the world where goods are being shipped to Liberia, they thoroughly check it, because Liberia, like the president said, nothing is a sacred cow. So if any goods come from any country and cocaine is in it, the Republic of Liberia is going to flag it, and the rest of the world is going to know that there's a container that came from this country, XYZ country, and it had drugs on board. So all of these countries, they are very careful when shipments are leaving a country to come to Liberia. They are very careful and want to know actually what is ready on that transshipment. Let's listen to the guy. So the guy is shipping from South Korea.
As President Joseph Yuma Boakai to make sure the drugs investigation is actually
Keep sharing the podcast, guys.
settle, because we are never going through a lot of security scrutiny like this. Before container, when you load the container, immediately they say now like bro,
In Seattle?
when you load your container, before they take, it will spend 3 or 4 days. They do security check to make sure why you load the car is not surrounded with drugs. So this is giving us a tough time. People who sitting down talking things from the blue sky, they don't know the effect that our country is in now. You please allow the president to do his work so that the need of Liberia will be clear for the international scene. All the way when we ship the container and reach to Liberia to clear again another money, then the shipping time will take time. Then when you load your container for it to go, another word, this container, it has spent almost 3 days. Different, that container is going to Liberia. That's my container. I ordered this new container, this empty container for those cars that are parking inland. But before this car the container will be confirmed, more than 3 different security sectors from drug agency in Korea, from transport union. It was not like that before. We asked them, they say, oh, because Liberia is on high alert, on international. So our country, we don't want for our country to be part of it. So anything you're loading here, it will be double check, including the tires, everything in our car. They have to bring all kind of scanner for us. It was not like that before. It was not like that before. So I beg you people that are just talking out of politics, that country will be good because of the few Liberians are out that are trying their effort to make sure they send items that we don't produce in the country to make sure we'll be sending it. But sending it now, it becomes so threatening. Like, it's so difficult for us. And it is not easy for country to produce entrepreneur when there's no freedom. You can be having a country, then the passport has issue. Even to ship things in the country, it has issue. We have never experienced such a thing outside Korea. Hey, alaikum salam. How are you, sir?
Indeed. So that is it. So the president raised the election. You think the president will know that people close to his hands are in this thing, or even if he knew, it means that he's a very, very transparent president. And that is why he raised the alarm of this drug issue to the national security level. Now, I just heard Carol's Gray on OKFM with Judas just saying that the government gave Sheikh Bashiru $15,000 to set Joel Howard Taylor up. But I will speak on that more tomorrow when I listen to it and be informed, then I'll be able to talk about it. But it sounds so stupid that our government, what does the government have against Paul Joel Howard Taylor? So the fact is that she got herself mixed up in things and then the law be the law. That is it. So let's get to the next one because I just want to, there's an update podcast. The next one is that this ship that was on our international water, the RB Atlantic, from the Comoros Island, up to date, we do not know what was in that ship. But the ship was able to be arrested on the high sea by the Ivorian authorities. It was taken to La Cote d'Ivoire, and now they have brought it to Liberia. It has docked at the free port of Monrovia. The authorities, the government have not told us what was actually on the ship and what the ship was doing on the Liberian waters. So for that ship so far, that's the latest updates. If we get any other information of live forecast, we will be able to put it on our page and you will be able to see it. Now, let's go to the Temple of Justice. The Supreme Court is handing down rulings. All right? The Supreme Court is handing down ruling, and this, probably tomorrow, the Chief Justice, because today it was Councilor Kane, Associate Justice, who was handing down the ruling on behalf of the full bench of the Supreme Court. Tomorrow, the Chief Justice himself, Yami Gbese, will be passing the ruling tomorrow on behalf of the full bench of the Supreme Court. And the case involving Funati Kofa and the rest of his co-defendant into the arson case will be handed down tomorrow. And what is it? Judge Farka disbanded the entire jury that they were compromised. And Funatu Kofa and team and their lawyer took flight to the Supreme Court to prohibit the judge from dismantling or setting aside the jury to do a complete, I think, bench trial. So tomorrow, how the Supreme Court ruling will be, then it will revert to the lower court to continue the case. That case has been around for quite a long time now, and it has to progress. The Liberian people are impatient, but it is good that the Supreme Court will be handing down ruling on it tomorrow, because there's another case they had a ruling on that spent from 2015 to 2026 is about 11 years. 11 years for an appeal case to stay in the Supreme Court. And you have Senator Yo sitting down over there. What was she doing? Just sitting over there cleaning her nails at the Supreme Court as Chief Justice. So she was just sitting every day. She go to where she clean her nails. Now, there was another case at the Supreme Court today. Wilma Smith versus EcoBank, Alex Williams, and Martin Colley. Now, first of all, people reach out to me and they say, "Oh, Albert, what are you doing? What are you doing to Martin? It's not good, this and that." I'm doing nothing. Just in the same vein the brother is reporting is the same way I'm reporting what comes out. Okay? There is not a solidarity context that we are on here. You are reporting about other people. We are investigating what you are reporting. And if it is not right, we will talk about it. It has nothing to do with bullying. And if you make a mistake, you must be able to tell the public that you misled, that this was a mistake. But you still have the video. While we have edited it, it is an AI-generated video. You still have it. But it does not negate the fact that the young man is a bright young man. He's an intelligent young man. He has talents, and he can use those talents for good. We all have our flaws. We make mistakes. But when we make mistakes, we must be able to acknowledge the mistake and tell the people that we communicated the misleading information to that we are sorry it was a mistake, and they will get erased that from their minds. So what we're doing is not contesting against Martin Colley. I wish to work with him one day on some things to make it right for country. He has done a lot of things right for country. We cannot bash him, and we will not bash him, and we are not bashing him. We are only looking at things that he's bringing forth. We cannot be yes, yes, yes. In as much as people we see in society that go to work for government are compromised, you are investigating them. You yourself can be compromised because you are human. So there's a reason why we are doing it. It's not targeting the young man. He's a fine young man. We admire him a lot. But everything we're doing, once you're a watchdog to society, there's other watchdogs also that are watching you. So the Supreme Court handed down a ruling today into the case because Wilma Smith lost the case to EcoBank, Alex Williams, and Martin Colley in the lower court. And Wilma Smith took a flight to the Supreme Court. What the Supreme Court did today, they reversed that decision in that they're telling the lower court the decision you took was wrong. So the court turned over the verdict in favor of Wilma Smith and asked EcoBank to pay Wilma Smith $250,000. And then Martin will pay $50,000 in damages. And Alex Williams will pay $50,000 in damages. Marcel, hey Marcel, how you doing? I hope you're doing okay. Marcel said my thing is he's acting like a bully. Don't bully people. Okay, you are on one person over and over, and what you're bringing is not right. It's not making sense. It's not holding the person culpable. So you want for people to accept it, and other people are level-headed also. They cannot accept it. and you keep pushing the person, it's a form of bullying. Because the man works with other security apparatus and they are able to investigate him. He does not have absolute power. Okay? If the government can arrest a high-figure person like Joe Howard Taylor, who is great. So there is nobody that's bullying this brother. Okay? We admire him. He's a smart young man. He's contributed a lot also. That cannot be, we cannot deny that. But when you bring something that doesn't add up, we will look at you in the face. And at the same time, once you are in a case or something happened about you, you are in the news, you are the news. It will be spoken about. That's how it works. It will be spoken about. You speak about other people. You bring other people in the news. When something is reported about you, you become the news also. So when other people report about it, people must not say it is bullying. No, I'm not a bully. I don't bully people. I keep pounding my message for it to be understood and heard by the targeted audience that I am looking for, I am looking at. So this has nothing to do with bullying. Now, let's take this one. I think this will be the last one, all right? So, let's take some updates from the Temple of Justice, from the crew there at ELBC on LNTV. So, you know, Liberians, I will tell you once on the Bonjala, you can remember the guy who is said to have allegedly sodomized. He and his friend sodomized the little boy. And there have been this information that the man was not in jail and the government was doing nothing about that case. Let's listen to ELBC and understand what is happening at the criminal court. Let's share the podcast. Let's take our time to listen. Let's listen to this lady.
Cases this morning at the Supreme Court. One of the landmark cases we witnessed and heard the ruling was a case involving former FDA Managing Director Moses Wongbe and 4 others, officials both from FDA and the Ministry of Lands and Mines. And so today the Supreme Court ruled, and that ruling was, that opinion was read by Associate Justice Cannon, who ruled that the men be who ruled that they be incarcerated at the Monrovia Central Prison, and they were spent a year each in prison and to pay the restitution of $10,000 each. Now let me bring you back to the case involving former.
Now what is happening here is that Moses Wongbe, back then, I know the pap from the Africans, okay, Moses Wongbe. He had 2 sons and I sat in class with the same Gregory Coleman I was talking about right now. We all sat in class. Melvin and Moses Wongbe Jr., okay? So I know Pap Wongbe very well. So he was the head of the FDA under the Eddie Johnson's administration. So in 2011, by 2015, it was alleged that something went wrong at the FDA, including 1 or 2 persons from the Lands and Mines Ministry at the time. Now, there's the thing, my thing with the Supreme Court. And that is the reason why I said, then why do you have to put Prophet King in jail? Because the man just speaking the fact. This case, the appeal went to the Supreme Court in 2015. Pray God, tell me. The Supreme Court is just handing down ruling on it in 2026, 11 years. What are they doing there? What were they doing? After 11 years, a case involving $6 million United States dollars. An appeal comes to you at the Supreme Court in 2015. Early was there 2016, 2017. George Watkins took it 2018 for 6 years. Okay? So you just waste the Liberian people time. They pay you a lot of money, but you are not paying attention. So now you look at some of these things, you make some people so angry and they speak to the Supreme Court justices in a way that they should not speak to them, because you people are wasting the Liberian people time. How can you take 11 years to hand down ruling on just one simple case that comes to you for appeal? Let's listen to the journalist from ELBC.
FDA manager Moses Wongbe and 4 others. 3 came from FDA, and the rest, the balance 2, came from the Ministry of Mines and Energy. Well, the case emanated as far as 2015 under the past regime of former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, where they were found guilty and indicted for several crimes ranging from economic sabotage, criminal conspiracy, among others. And so what was the cause of that? The cause was that they illegally issue private use permits in a tune of 61 private use permit between April 2010 to December 2011. And these permits, according to the indictment, were operated or were given to logging companies in millions of hectares of land, such as the environmental sector. And so the indictment further said that they have deprived the government of over $6 million in revenue, $6 million US in revenue. And based on that, they were brought to court. And remember in 2015, when the case was called to order, that was at the lower court at Criminal Court C, where Judge Peter Beneweli was the judge, and he ruled that they were guilty of the crimes that were levied against them by the government based on the indictment, $1 million. And so lawyers representing former FDA boss, representing the clients, it will take time. And so a lot of people may have forgotten about the case, but that hasn't been forgotten, because once an appeal is taken, you have lawyers going before the court to perfect that appeal. And so based on that, the judgment was rendered today. But another thing was that during the argument in 2015, the defense team representing former FDA boss Moses Wongbe argued that they were ambushed. They were actually ambushed, which of course, being ambushed in that probe, and then it turned to a criminal case and claimed that they were authorized by shipments under directives after fees were paid by the Supreme Court. That's what they said. That's why the defense argued in the case. So probably you want to know who the former officials are. In fact, they weren't in court today, but they were represented by the legal team. And normally, as a judicial reporter, what I notice is that whenever rulings are being handed down in the Supreme Court, one of the slightest thing we notice is that once we don't see the other parties, maybe the other defendants that have been accused, meaning that probably the case or the ruling has gone against them or is against them. And so this is something that we notice. None of the defendants were in court, but however, their legal team represented them. So based on the incarceration, one may ask as to whether they have been sent to jail. The case emanated from the lower court, that is Criminal Court C, and so they have to send that judgment down to the lower court. That mandate has to be sent down from the Supreme Court to the lower court to implement that judgment from the Supreme Court concerning the incarceration of 1 year each of those officials and to pay the amount of $10,000 US. So the officials are involved in that case, the $6 million case, are Moses Wongbe, former FDA manager, Joseph Carter, he was a technical manager at FDA, and Janga Kamara, the manager for community foresting at FDA. Now at the Mines of Energy, you have David Bly, he was the county superintendent, and Maxwell Gui, he was a category officer at Mines and Energy. So there are 5 officials in this case. So we are waiting for the mandate to be sent down to the lower court so that they implement the Supreme Court mandate. And so, as I said earlier, that
so I mean, you will see that the Unity Party has a history of persecuting people, even from within the government. At that time, Moses Wongbe, she's pronouncing it as Wongbe, but it's Wongbe, because at certain class with his 2 sons, Moses Wongbe Jr. and Melvin Wongbe Jr. and even the Gregory Coleman, we all were long-term classmates in the Africans. Now, this gave the history. Yeah, they gave I was trying to read the comment there from Marcia, so I got distracted, guys. I'm sorry for that. So you will see that the Unity Party has a history of persecuting people. So Moses Wongbe was the director of FDA on Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and things went wrong. They went to court. They beat them. They took a flight to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court did not reverse the decision today. The Supreme Court said they must pay 10,000 each back. Imagine a case of 6 million. You tell the people to pay 10,000 each back, and they will spend 1 year each in jail. Is it enough for the amount of 6 million? But anyway, the country was able to achieve justice. The country was able to achieve justice in that regards. I'm coming, guys. Just 1 minute. So the Supreme Court says that they must pay 10,000 each back to the government, and they will spend 1 year each in jail. However it is, what I'm saying, the point from which I'm coming is that the Unity Party has a history of persecuting people. Even though the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government was really corrupt, but at least there's a history of persecution, because this case started under the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration. And this government came and pushed and pushed and pushed it. Today, there's a final ruling. So at the lower court, there are a few things happening at the lower court, and people have to be very careful, because there were times that people said Bonjala was released by the government. He was not at Monrovia Central Prison, that he was not at South Beach. But you will hear from the correspondent here how serious the government took this case, including the evidence of the boxer the kid had. They had to carry it out send it out of the country for examination. They had to send it to Rwanda for examination. So those who have been saying that the government never took this case seriously, that this guy allegedly sodomized this little boy, and the government was on this guy's side. Liberians, we have to be patient. We haven't seen any government in our recent history that have taken our country this serious. And if this government lower its efforts, we will be affected drastically. So when things come to this kind of an instance, especially the court, the law, security, we have to give a piece of chance. Let's continue to listen.
We have like 55 cases, 30 today to be heard. Just before I left the court to come down to report, there were case number 24 on the docket that was being read. So by now, they are almost like wrapping up to give the rulings. And tomorrow, August 28th, we have one of the landmark cases concerning the writ of prohibition filed by former House Speaker Fanatic Kofa and others in the arson case. And then his lawyers, a legal team, filed that writ of prohibition on grounds that Judge Wole was in error to have disbanded the jurors in the case in June of 2026 this year. And so they took a flight up to the Supreme Court and filed a writ of prohibition to prevent Judge Wole from disbanding the jurors. So tomorrow morning, we will be here to bring you updates about the arson case involving former Speaker Fanatic Kofa and others, at which time the Chief Justice himself, Yamin Gbese, will hand down that ruling.
So Fabian, normally in cases like this, when a Supreme Court rules that...
So let me just go quickly here.
And so based on the ruling that was given that day, February 13, 2026, obviously that became a law, and every opinion handed down by the Supreme Court becomes a law. So we have people reading and making reference to that. So even in the cases today that have been heard, to make reference to that, to read. And I will take you back to this case that they had about this Prophet Key, you remember, who was incarcerated February 13, 2026, and sent to jail for 6 months for what he did. And so, based on the ruling that was given that day, February 13, 2026, obviously that became a law, and every opinion handed down by the Supreme Court becomes a law. So we have people reading and making reference to that. So even in the cases today that have been heard, from FDA to other land cases and other cases such as murder, theft of property, criminal conspiracy, and others, those will be opinions handed out that tomorrow, if I'm not alive to read that, or you are not alive, God forbid, you have others reading that and making reference to that. So that's the beauty of the Supreme Court. So after tomorrow, when they hand down their opinions in the balance 25 cases, the court will be closing for its March term to resume October, the second Monday in October, for its October term. Remember, the Supreme Court opens twice a year, the March and October terms.
Yeah, Fabian, I just want you to refresh the memory of our
Let me go to the Bonjala
listeners about-
case.
Ruling. And so normally when a writ is being filed, it's not filed directly at the full to be read by the Chief Justice. And others may think that it's
procedural, right?
proceeded to go further, or it will be sent down at the lower court so that they resume jurisdiction. But as I said earlier, we can't speak for the court.
Okay, apart from that, is there any other thing that you want our viewers to know?
Yeah, cases are still ongoing, and this is the August term of court. Remember, just a few hours ago, we were at Criminal Court C, because the Temple of Justice is a very big place, and so we navigate the various courts to know what's happening. And we're at Criminal Court C listening at that case involving the rice, that had to do with about 13 former government officials that were there. And today, the court earlier on subpoena the Futa Corporation. You know, they are engaged in business, and sometimes they bring rice in the country. And so the person that was being subpoenaed was a legal officer, an attorney, who came to testify on behalf of Futa. And what he did was that the court wanted the original documents. And so he presented the original documents to the court that was subpoenaed, and then asked the court that after reviewing the original documents, they should forward it back to Futa Corporation, because this is what they use for their business. So from there, we are still navigating the court. And when we went upstairs at the rape court, we were just on a break, because there's this case ongoing about an Mexican security who is alleged to have raped a minor. And that case is ongoing. He pleaded not guilty to the charges, and so we are following the case. Earlier on, we were following the case involving the former NSA official Peter Bonjala, who allegedly sodomized a 14-year-old boy, and that came to a break. They had a break because the victim in question took the stand and testified that indeed he was sodomized according to what he said, by defendant Peter Bonjala and two of his friends. And while carrying on the act, he was being videotaped and being filmed. In that particular court, whenever the victim takes a stand, he or she is in camera, and so everybody sat and listened to what he had to say, telling the court. And then later on, another witness were brought in to testify concerning the case about his friend, because the victim claimed his friends knew about what was happening because they were together that day. But the interesting thing is that the suspect himself, Peter Bonjala, hasn't taken the stand yet, and so when he's about to take the stand, we'll bring you up to speed and bring the public up to speed so that they know exactly what's going to happen about the case. But then I remember while we were in court a week ago, we learned that the clothes that the victim wore wasn't the clothes that they had on him after they got through allegedly sodomizing him and put him in a car and dash him on the road. There were different clothes he wore, and he told the court that in fact they had different boxer and different shirt on him. So that boxer that they put on him that he wore on the day it happened, when they threw him off the vehicle, that boxer, according to my sources, has been sent to Rwanda, and we hope to see a doctor from Rwanda in country to testify with the specimens that were found in the boxer that this minor wore when the suspect Peter Bonjala committed the act. So we'll bring you up to speed on all those cases around the court, because as I said, we are here almost every day during the August term of court, navigating from the various courts to bring our listeners up to speed. And so this is Fabian Kuya from LNTV.
So guys, you see, now you heard it from the journalist there, right? That this case, where people had always said that the government compromised the case involving Bonjala and the kid the little boy who allegedly perforated, sodomized by Bonjala, allegedly, and his friends. The government did not compromise the case. The government even had to send the clothes of this little kid to Rwanda for examination. And the expert will be coming to testify in this case. So, look, we have to be careful. I understand this kid's mother, she was hurt and saying all kinds of things. And the public was going with it. And the opposition weaponized it. But we have to be very careful. Anything that has to do with the law that is before the law, we have to give a piece of chance. We have to believe in the system. This system is much more refined, not perfect, but much more refined than the one that we had earlier than this administration. Because many Liberians were yelling here and there that the government have compromised the case, and this little boy was perforated, he was sodomized, and the government has a Bonjala outside, which is not true. Today, the case was going on, it was heard in criminal court C. And Jala is still behind the walls, distancing him from civilization. So we have to be careful. Otherwise, this gift that God has given us called Joseph Yuma Boakai, we will lose it and then we will regret. The generation during the time of Tolbert, today they sit and regret why Doe and other, the PRC overthrew Tolbert. Because he had a plan. He had a roadmap. If Tolbert had stayed and there was not a coup, many said that Liberia was going to be a completely different country today. He's gone. Today we have an opportunity. There is like the reincarnation of Tolbert. Sadly, Joseph Yuma Boakai took over this country at this old age. I wish we had given him the opportunity in 2018 for him to go for 12 years, and then we see how our country will be. Then this time would have been his second term. Even though older, but by 2018 he would have been younger. But it's not too late. Let's stand up for country and not for individual. Share the podcast, guys. We've gone close to 1 hour. We wanted to update you. I will catch you guys on the class reloaded. I have to go and take a shower and get ready also, and find something to eat. Thanks for watching. Marcia, how you doing? I hope you're doing okay. Helen Flomo, how you doing? Sadie Myers, how you doing? Dave, how are you doing? Let me go up to recognize a few more people. Sanke Logan, how you doing? Siata, how you doing? Thomas, how you doing? Serena Gent, how you doing? Helen Flomo, Aliu Chroma, and every one of you, thanks for watching. You guys will catch me on the class reloaded. Y'all know our full podcast is on the weekend. In a week, we just come to update you guys, and then we go on the class reloaded because we need to have some little time to rest also, because we leave home before 6 o'clock in the morning. We come by 6 o'clock. You hear me? Yeah, I ain't even do anything for myself. I hear on the podcast, go shower, and then come by and sit on the class reloaded again. So, like I said, we are still soliciting for the podcast materials, because the microphone that we have is done. The mixer we have, which should be the central board, is destroyed. The voice quality is not good. I'm using a Rode microphone is too much sophisticated for the kind of things we're doing. So it ain't giving any better effect, okay? Unless I'll have to give it to those who do these big podcasts that have a very sophisticated setup. They can use the kind of a mic. I bought it the very first time. I didn't know I was green. I didn't know these are the difference between this microphone for podcasting and thing. And when I put good money behind this one is expensive, and it doesn't get the output. So we want to buy a new microphone, Paul Max, and a board, and then a setup whatever for the podcast to make it look very decent for every one of us, for our comfort zone. I'm still asking my audience in the US and Canada or Asia if you can give a hand for us to do it, we can do it. Like I said yesterday, I already have 2 brothers who have contributed to oh, Sanke, thanks for coming on the platform. Sanke, please send that thing to me again so I can be able to do it tomorrow yet. I forgot completely. I'm sorry, Mama. For those of you who will be here, I have 2 brothers from the US who have contributed up to 240 euro. Okay. They sent it from the US, and I went to RIA. I got it through RIA. So we still have an outstanding of 200 and more to make it 500. It is more than that, but I don't want to bulk people too much. If people can get more, then we can get all the things we want. Otherwise, I just get small and I get money. I'll buy the other materials. Okay, but I really want to be appreciative to the 2 brothers who have given a contribution to this cause. So if you are in the US, you are in Canada, you are in Asia, and you are able to give a hand, just get to my inbox so I can give you the details. And then if you're able to help, you can do whatever you're supposed to do. Share the podcast, guys. I'll catch you guys tomorrow on another update. Let me go and take a shower and get ready for the class reloaded. And then I will say bye-bye from my